everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of the Detroit Lions franchise. This is going to be a big week here, coming off two massive losses, very likely kicked us out of the playoff race. But at this point, it's time to switch our attention, hopefully get things going, kind of be the party crashers for the rest of the teams. We have a couple teams that are slated to make playoffs, that we're going to be facing in the second half of the season with the 4 weeks that's left. So hopefully we can just play party crashers and kind of ruin it for some teams. The first thing we did was we finally got the David Njoku contract done and over with. We've been going at it for a couple weeks now, but we got him signed to a 4-year deal. He's currently 25, so it'll finish off by the time he's 29. And I think this is going to be a big deal. We went into detail last episode, telling you what my plan is going to be for him next season. Along with that, I want to make it official. We will be making a new playbook for next season, a new offensive playbook. The reason we're doing that is because I'm trying to do some things that most playbooks, stock playbooks that you get for teams just don't offer. On top of that, we're currently using the stock Detroit playbook. I want to add some more plays when it comes to going under center and having some more versatility when it comes to running from under center. So more stretch options, more inside runs, more traps, more counters, something that, this offense just really doesn't offer. And, because the playbook right now is kind of centered towards a shotgun formation, which is why I had a hard time integrating Kerryon Johnson at the start of the season. But unfortunately, with all the injuries we had last week, Kerryon Johnson will not be returning. Rodney Foreman not returning, Frank Ragnow not returning. All three players were, of course, placed on injured reserve. But we did make two signings to help settle this team a little bit. And that was the first signing. We went out and got Leonard Fournette. We wanted to bring in a power back, a guy who can come in and, get those tough yards for us, something Kerryon Johnson was doing. I don't think he'll be getting as much carries as Kerryon Johnson. Of course, especially this week, he's going to have to learn the playbook. And we also signed veteran receiver Josh Doctson from TCU. He was drafted pretty high, I believe in the second round by the Redskins. Didn't really pan out, but it's a guy I really liked coming out of college. And really, we're just looking for depth. So bringing someone like him in, I think, is going to fit the role that we're trying to find. When it comes to playing time, we'll see how much he gets. I'm assuming not much. But we just needed someone to come in case of any other emergencies. Another big decision we had to make this week was, of course, two performances back to back. You can see a big sack by Trey Flowers there. We absolutely love that. But after two back-to-back 3-interception performances by Matthew Stafford, and of course deciding to put in Philip Shelby at the end of the third quarter last week against Green Bay, and we practically let him finish. I think he came in almost a little bit less than halfway through the third, and he got to finish the fourth as well. We had a big decision to make. What were we going to do? I can tell you right now that the Detroit Lions have decided that they're going to continue to play Matthew Stafford for the rest of the year, even with the slate of bad performances ever since the bye week. There's a lot of reasons that we decided to do that, and there's a couple reasons that we thought were warranted, and the reason why we decided to keep him as a starter. First things first, we don't know what the future is going to be with Matthew Stafford. We can go out and say that we don't want him, that we want him to come back, but doesn't mean Matthew Stafford's going to want to come back. And in the generation of playing that we are currently, players have a lot of control. Even when they are signed to a long-term deal, players are getting more and more control when it comes to where they are in their career, where they get to play. And we can see that, this offseason as a prime example. A lot of top-notch quarterbacks are, I guess you can say on the trade block, because that's a big missed throw for Brashad Perriman right there. But a lot of quarterbacks have, demanded trades, asked to be traded. Matthew Stafford was one of them in real life. We decided to keep him in the series. But, in real life, the big trade between Jared Goff, and it's kind of funny as we're playing Jared Goff here today. But, that was just, something that we're going to have to manage. And, with everything Matthew Stafford has done for this organization, his opinion on what he wants to do after this season, we're going to respect it. We're going to try and make him happy. He's done so much for this organization with so little support. And, if he decides that he doesn't want to come back, we're going to have to look at, we're going to have to look into that. We're going to have to look at, hopefully granting his wishes. It's going to be a big loss for this organization. Matthew Stafford has kind of been the face of this organization for as long as, I started watching football. And, Matthew Stafford has been just such a great quarterback. And like I said, with very little support, whether it be bad coaching staff, a lack of having an amazing group of talent around him. I mean, you can talk about receivers. He's had some great receivers in the past. Of course, he's played with Calvin Johnson for a majority of his career. In the very recent future, a big throw for Jared Goff right there as he gets Robert Woods down the middle as he's hit as he throws. But, he's had Calvin Johnson for the past couple years, Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. So he's had weapons. But I want to say overall that, this defense hasn't been very good. Overall, has never had a great offensive line. I can't think of any memorable running backs at any point during Matthew Stafford's tenure. And so at this point, we can completely understand if Matthew Stafford, tells us that he wishes not to return. At the end of the day, we're hoping that he's going to look back at this season and see that, with this coaching staff, at least we're going in the right direction. And if he does decide to stay, we're going to see what we have to do with that. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to do what's best for the team. So when I say it in the sense that we just don't know what his future is going to be, we want to make sure that he has the opportunity to leave Detroit, if he decides to leave Detroit, on the best note possible. We want to show him the respect. We want to make sure that if he does decide to leave Detroit, that he's got some film on him, that he's gonna have the opportunity to show that he can still play, that his off weeks, were just simply off weeks, and that he's able to bounce back and go out and win games for a team. We've said this team is not ready to compete just yet. I mean, we've been talking about possibly sliding into the playoffs, but realistically, we go into the wild card round, depending on who we play, there's a good chance that we probably don't win that with just the talent that we have around us. But I think, at this point in this season, it was really about a culture shift. We wanted to show that we can compete. We wanted to show that we were going to play smash mouth football. And I think we've accomplished that. Our defense has looked phenomenal all season long. Specifically, they've looked good all season long. But after this bye week, they've looked elite, easily top 10. And I'd be willing to put that, into the top 5, maybe around 5th or 6th or 7th, on the, middle of top 10. And I think we've definitely, put a culture in place that, these guys are going to play physical. We're going to play fast. And, if you let us punch you in the mouth, we're going to punch you in the mouth. And that's the kind of style that we wanted to bring in here. A little similar to what Dan Campbell did with his big press conference. I know everybody's in love with that. Motor City Dan Campbell, definitely a big fan. But, we kind of wanted to do something similar with this team. And I think we've accomplished that in just a season, which is, very hard to do. But we're going to take advantage of it. What else can we say about Matthew Stafford? I mean, Matthew Stafford at this point, it's fair for him to want to say he wants to win a championship. He's had an amazing career, but it's kind of been overlooked because he's played for Detroit. So for him to go out and say that he wants to move on, go win a championship, to a certain extent, that's a respectable move. I know there's a little bit of a stigma in the NFL that if you sign your contract, you should finish your contract with that team. For the longest time in the past in the NFL, players often spent their whole careers on one team. But, I think, I'm going to be honest, with a big influence from the NBA, where players are, have ultimate control of their careers. If they want to move, to a certain extent, the NBA, NBA organizations, whether, no matter the team, the front office is going to almost have to respect that because players hold so much power. And I think that's beginning to carry over into the NFL, especially with big name quarterbacks. And I think Matthew Stafford fits the bill of big name quarterbacks who, have put their heart and soul into a team. And unfortunately, it just feels like he hasn't gotten the same back from the organization. Like I said, we're trying to do a culture change here. We're hoping that Matthew Stafford is seeing that we're trying to improve things if he does want to return. But if he doesn't, I think we're in good hands. We still have Philip Shelby. And another big thing, bringing up Philip Shelby, a big reason that we're not deciding to let him play is, has to do with a lot of the injuries that we have. We would be putting, Philip Shelby in a situation where we're kind of stripped on talent now. We're missing our best offensive lineman. We're missing our top receiver. We're missing, our leading rusher. Putting him in a situation like that just wouldn't be phenomenal for his career. And let's look at it from a different perspective here. If I'm Philip Shelby, I play on a team that doesn't have a lot of talent. Great touchdown there by Matthew Stafford in the corner for TJ Hawkinson. We're talking a little bit off topic here. So the gameplay is going to be a little bit on the, on the background here. But, we're talking about Philip Shelby here. We put him in a situation where our best talents are stripped. Our best talents have been taken away. So now we have to put him in a situation where many veteran quarterbacks would probably struggle in. So we're putting him in a situation where, there's a small chance that he goes off and wins us the rest of the games in the season. Maybe, just maybe, we slip into playoffs. Or he goes in there, he struggles. And if he struggles, there's a whole bunch of things that could result from that. One, a rookie going in to struggle with a team that doesn't have much talent, that's going to hit his confidence. And very likely, that's going to take over into next year. And if a quarterback doesn't have confidence, plain and simple, he doesn't play well. Secondly, if he doesn't play well for the rest of the last 4 games of the season, there might be some rumors in the front office, like we're seeing with Tua and Hurts this season, where they don't perform particularly well. They definitely show flashes, but is it going to be enough to be a franchise quarterback? If Philip Shelby doesn't prove that he's going to be a franchise quarterback right away in his first season, and we put him into a situation where we're missing our best talent, there might be some rumors in the front office saying that, can we trust this guy? Is he going to be our future? That's another thing that's going to affect his confidence. If his organization, if his front office doesn't believe in him. And lastly, what about the fans? If the fans go in there and see Philip Shelby struggle, immediately, especially with the Detroit fan base, which is just so, so loud and so, I don't want to say opinionated, but in a sense, they're very involved with the organization. If Philip Shelby struggles, what is that going to mean for him? I mean, he's going to lose faith probably in himself if he struggles. He's going to lose faith in the front office. He's going to lose faith in the, for the fan base. And why are we going to put our quarterback, or possibly our future quarterback, our franchise quarterback, through that? We saw last week that he took a beating from Green Bay. Even when he came in, the offensive line continued to struggle as we get a big interception by Amani, and we absolutely love that, cutting off the hook there. But if we put him in a situation, just in general, we put him into the Green Bay game, he was taking a lot of hits. He was making throws while getting hit. It just wasn't an ideal game for him to debut. And it's unfortunate when you have to put your rookie quarterback in for a circumstance like that. You'd love to put your rookie quarterback in if you're up 40, up 30 in the fourth quarter. But we had to put him in because Matthew Stafford was struggling. We had to put him in against the best team in the NFC at the time. And, it just wasn't an ideal situation for Philip Shelby. And, continuing to put him in that situation, especially with the injuries, I just didn't feel it would be best for Philip Shelby. So like I said, we're missing some of our best weapons. And if we're going to be able to continue to win games and hopefully compete, a rookie who's going to struggle, he's going to be a little slower with his reads. A rookie who's naturally going to struggle with a little bit of confidence in, as coming in late throughout the season, seeing a guy like Matthew Stafford struggle for a couple games in a row, that's just not, the kind of position that we want to put Philip Shelby in. So it's for those two reasons that we decided that Matthew Stafford was going to continue the rest of his season as the starter. As you can see, a little dump off to DeAndre Swift, who's able to break a tackle and slide his way in. That's just a great play. As you can see so far this game, if you are watching the gameplay and you're not just listening to me ramble on, that at this point, we've kind of changed the thing. We're just trying to get the hands in the ball of our specialty players. Hopefully they can make plays. And it's worked out here so far. We're not overcomplicating things. We're just putting up schemes that are going to get guys open. And we're finding success with that so far. But, I just didn't feel like that would be right to put Philip Shelby in there. It wasn't a good situation for him to come in. And, we've seen in the past a lot of quarterbacks benefit from sitting a year and adjusting and learning under a veteran quarterback. I mean, the biggest name right now is going to be Patrick Mahomes, who sat a year. Tom Brady sat a year. I believe Aaron Rodgers sat 2 or 3, maybe even 4 years before he got his first start. There's just so many great quarterbacks who've taken the time to grow, develop, and groom themselves and adjust to the NFL, and they've benefited from it tremendously. And I think that's what we're kind of trying to do with Philip Shelby here. We're not going to rush him in there. We're not going to force him and kind of put him, put him on a leash right away and kind of put him on a timeline like, okay, we need him to succeed right away or else we're screwed, or else that we need to find a new quarterback after drafting him just the year before. That's just not a fair situation. That's not the way this organization is going to handle this situation. And, we're just going to have to handle, whatever comes to us, for the remainder of the season. I'm hoping Matthew Stafford bounces back. He's shown this season after bad performances that he has been able to do so, and I think he's off to a good start this game. So here we go. I've rambled on long enough. I've talked all the way to the second quarter. So now we're going to focus on the gameplay here, as we're going to be entering the second half, 17-7. And here we go with the opening kickoff with Agnew. He's going to take this one all the way to the 21. And, I'm happy to have a lead here, going up against an elite defense. Matthew Stafford has looked phenomenal. Like I said, we've kind of changed our outlook so far here today as TJ Hawkinson turns up there. He's going to break a tackle. It looks like the linebacker covering just kind of overplayed the ball, and TJ Hawkinson was kind of able to slip out of the way. But, we're playing good. We kind of changed the scheme here. We're focusing on getting guys open. We're simplifying the playbook. We're not taking shots deep. And we're just trying to create completions here. We've been struggling having, first and second down success to the point where we're having consistent third down issues where it's third and long or even worse. So our focus in this game was plain and simple. We're just going to, we're going to take whatever is there. We're not going to force the ball. We're not going to try and make too many plays as we find Rashad Perriman there on the RPO. But we're not going to try and make big plays for when we don't need them. And if we can get some good yards on first down, get some good yards on third down, it's going to take a lot of stress off our shoulders if we create a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, or 3rd and 1 instead of a 3rd and 11, which is what we saw for a majority of the game against Green Bay. So now 2nd and 9 here. Matthew Stafford dropping back is going to find TJ Hawkinson, who breaks a tackle, and this is exactly what I meant. We're just going to get the ball in the hands of our playmakers, whatever playmakers we have left, which you know what? I don't think we're that bad. I mean, Rashad Perriman has shown that he can play some football. TJ Hawkinson has been a great tight end option for us. Sammy Watkins has had his best season in recent memory. So, that's just the outlook that we're having here, is we're taking a big sack here. So 2nd and 19 on the 46. Matthew Stafford gets the snap. He's going to look around, looking deep, and he's going to get sacked again. It's going to be Okoronkwo. Whoa, let me say that again. I don't even want to say that again. That was pretty difficult. A little blooper there. I'm going to keep that in the video for you guys because I think that's pretty funny. But Matthew Stafford on the screenplay there. We're just going to keep it safe as Terrell Burgess is going to be able to make the tackle before we get any positive yards. So we're going to have to punt it here on our after our first drive of the, I believe that was actually our second drive of the half. And no points so far in the second half. On the very next play, they're going to fake the motion there. They're going to fake the little jet sweep and hand it off to Henderson. And if you remember from the first half, like I said, if you were watching the gameplay and not just listening to me ramble on, Henderson has found a lot of success so far in the run game. And I was a little impressed here as, low voice crack there. Also, I'll keep that in. That's pretty funny. But, they found a lot of success on, the run game where we've seen most teams kind of, get 1, 2, 3 yards per rush, maybe even lose yards, and then at some point get a big run like Aaron Jones did last week with Green Bay. But Henderson here was the first running back in a while who was picking up chunks of, 5, 6, 7 on his very first carries. So definitely a challenge there. As a big catch by Robert Woods, just absolutely mossing Desmond Trufant. That was just a high ball there, a big wrist play, and you would have liked Trufant, who's a pretty big body, to come down with that ball there, but he's going to put enough air on that ball, and it's going to be Robert Woods who comes down with it. On the very next play, they're going to throw the little button hook there down the middle. That's going to be D.D. Westbrook, who they picked up in free agency, but it is going to be a roughing the passer call, I believe, on Danny Shelton. And that's another thing that we've been struggling with. We love the sack production from our defense so far. We're at a point now where it feels like all 4 of our defensive linemen get involved at some point throughout the game, as Henderson is going to weave through the defense and get to the outside, and Desmond Trufant with the touchdown-saving tackle. But, with our defense being so involved with the pass game, we're getting quite a few of roughing the passer calls. And, technically, my coaching style, the way I see it, is I have one rule. If you're going to get a roughing the passer call, you better make sure that you get a good lick on the quarterback. As long as it's not clearly a dirty play where it's very obviously, to the point where you take 3-4 steps before you hit the quarterback, that's just sloppy. That's dirty. We don't accept that. But if it's a borderline roughing the passer call and you're, maybe maybe a foot, 2 feet late at the quarterback, or you've already initiated contact or dove in to make a play, I have one rule. If you're gonna screw us over and get a 15-yard penalty, you better get a lick on the quarterback and get in his head. And I think, when it comes down to that, on most occasions, that's exactly what we've gotten. So I'm not overly angry about the roughing the passer calls, as long as the defense is, our defensive linemen or linebackers, whoever's initiating contact with the quarterback and possibly putting us in that situation is, going to be aware of the game situation. If it's a third and 20 or third and 15 and, it's a tight game, I don't care if you get a good lick on the quarterback. Don't do it. You need to avoid that situation. But in a situation where we're in a lead, our offense is moving the ball very well, and, it's just an accident, or, you're just being too competitive. It's an intense football game. Things happen. I don't mind it too much. So now, 2nd and 5 after a little drag route there. Matthew Stafford is going to hand it off to Swift here, who's going to have a big role to fulfill. At the start of the season, he was mainly a shotgun running back and our pass catching running back. But he's going to find some carries from under as well. From under center, with Matthew Stafford as under center. We're going to ask him to run up the middle and play physical. And Leonard Fournette, of course, this is just his first game with us. Hasn't gotten a chance to learn the playbook yet. So for the most part, at least for this week, his focus is mainly going to be just, when we get down into the goal line or we need that 1 yard on 3rd and 1. And until then, until he learns the playbook, we're going to be, relying on Swift a lot, who showed potential at the start of the season as well. But at some point, we just decided Kerryon Johnson was being more consistent. But so far, a good day for DeAndre Swift. 9 carries for 48 yards. And here we go. We had a good rollout there. I believe that was Sammy Watkins or Breshad Perriman just 2 plays before. So now here we are on 2nd and 8 on the 13-yard line, hoping to make some more points as Bryce Hager is able to initiate contact with DeAndre Swift, who is unable to come down with the ball. So 3rd and 8 here on the 13-yard line. Matthew Stafford looking around is going to find Breshad Perriman on a little dig route there, wide open in the end zone, untouched. That's going to be an easy throw, an easy catch there. And there we go. Just like that, we're going to solidify this lead. It was only a 3-point lead. It was 17-14 before that touchdown. Now 24-14. So we're just trying to get ourselves in a more comfortable situation. If we can avoid these tight games and kind of take the stress off the offense and the defense, I think we'll also find more success. So here we go now. 1st and 10 for Jared Goff, going to the corner route, but he's going to lead Robert Woods just a little bit too much to the outside. So it's going to force a 2nd and 10 here. Hoping we can create some pressure here, expecting a throw. Of course, it's going to be an empty back set. Jared Goff looking around, dropping back, pressure coming in, and it's going to be Romeo Okwara chasing him down. And like I said, our defensive ends have just played phenomenally recently, whether it be in the run game or the passing game. I'm just so impressed with our front 7 in general. I think our biggest hole so far in the front 7, specifically at the linebacker, I would like to have someone who specializes in coverage. Whether that be in the draft or in free agency, having a guy that we can entrust to cover tight ends better than, Jelani Tavai. We have to be honest with ourselves. A big play there by Amani, able to initiate contact with Dede Westbrook as he reaches up high for that ball. So they're going to punt the ball here, and good field possession here on the 30. But if we can get our linebacker that we can entrust to, cover tight ends, cover running backs, or even a big physical safety. I'm going to throw out an example here. Obviously, we're not talking about, I'm going to say Jamal Adams type. Not Jamal Adams specifically. I don't think we'll be able to get him. I don't think it'll be in our best interest to get him as we get the corner route there for Breshad Perriman. But a guy like Jamal Adams who can play in the box and, I don't necessarily want him to go deep because, if we're talking about specifically Jamal Adams, not a very good cover guy, especially when it comes downfield in zone. But when it comes to covering tight ends and covering running backs, a guy like Jamal Adams, a guy like Derwin James, I think if we can find a guy like that, it's going to make our defense just so much better because we have struggled against tight ends this season. So now, 1st and goal on the 6-yard line here, hoping we can go out and score again. DeAndre Swift is going to run right into Aaron Donald and fumble the ball. And it's going to be picked up by the Rams defense. It's going to be Tyson Alualu. And this is going to go to booth review, though, so we're hoping to get a view. From that quick view there, it looks like Swift had his knee down. This is a better look. So knee is down right here, and ball comes out. So it looks like a tight call here, but I do believe DeAndre Swift was down, and we'll see what the ruling on the field is here. And the offense will stay out there. So a close call right there. We want to be careful with the ball, not put ourselves in those situations. So 2nd and goal on the 4-yard line. It's going to be a play-action play. Looking around, and we're going to find TJ Hawkinson in the back of the end zone, tiptoeing making sure he stays in bound for his second touchdown of the game, and 2 impressive touchdowns so far. But once again, going to the booth review, I think this one's more obvious here. Yeah, you can tell even from that crappy view that his feet are in bounds, and you can tell right there. That's an easy touchdown catch. A great job by Matthew Stafford. And what is he at now? 3 touchdowns so far here in the fourth quarter? 4 touchdowns? We'll have to check the stat sheets after, but a phenomenal game for Matthew Stafford. And this is what makes it so hard for us, is where is this Matthew Stafford on a weekly basis? What are we doing that is different, that is creating, the Matthew Stafford who throws 3 interceptions, or the Matthew Stafford who's throwing 3-4 touchdowns in a game? I'm looking at it from a different point of view. We're facing another talented defense similar to Green Bay. We're facing, a group of, a defensive group that technically creates a lot of pressure with Aaron Donald. They have Ebukam. Who else do they have? They have Robert Quinn. No. Do they have Robert Quinn? I believe so. And, no, they don't have Robert Quinn. What am I saying? He's on the Bears now. I think they have Leonard Floyd. I think the team swapped. But, a team that creates a lot of pressure, that has, a guy like Jalen Ramsey, a decent defensive back group, as you're going to see Malik Hooker absolutely whiffed the tackle on Higbee there. This is a talented defense. So what are we doing that's different, from the past 2 weeks to this week here where we're finding a lot of success? I can look at certain things. Our run game has been more successful. We weren't able to run on Green Bay, so perhaps it's because the defense is playing more honest. We're able to throw the ball better because they're not sure whether we're going to run or pass. We're having more versatility in that sense. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to check out when it comes to film review going on for the rest of the season, as we just need to find consistency. Consistency has been our issue all season long, and we need to figure out how we can fix that. But it's these games where Matthew Stafford is throwing 3 or 4, touchdowns and no interceptions that puts us in this situation like, are we ready to move on from him? Is he going to be able to come in next year as we continue to develop Philip Shelby? Next year with our salary cap where it is right now, we have a couple key players to bring in, so we'll have to see where our money is technically. But, when it comes to the draft, when it comes to free agency, technically speaking, we're hoping to be able to bring in more talent on this offense, more talent on this defense, make this an overall better team. Is this a team that Matthew Stafford is going to be able to do better with? A team that's going to be more consistent as our young players develop as well? Are we going to come in with a completely new team next year? This is where things get difficult, because which Matthew Stafford are we going to get, next season? Which Matthew Stafford are we going to get next week? Are we going to get the Matthew Stafford that makes a lot of mistakes, that seems a little, rattled by the defense? Or are we going to get a Matthew Stafford here who's playing another talented defense, but he says, you know what, I don't really care, and he's going to go out and throw 3-4 touchdowns? So we're going to have another big decision this offseason. We had one last year, whether we decided to bring Matthew Stafford back or not. We obviously opted to bring Matthew Stafford back, and he showed games where he's looked phenomenal for us. But he's also showed games that, he misses open throws, he's making bad reads. It's just, it's hard to gauge where we are at the quarterback situation. We're going to have to look at the kind of talent that's going to be available in free agency when we do our draft recap before the draft, at the end of the season. What kind of talents are we going to be able to go around? Hopefully we're going to figure out, whether we make playoffs or not, which, even with the win here, we're going to have to really push ourselves to go ahead and make a playoff push. But, if we don't make playoffs, we'll get a better idea right away, as there's the last play of the game. So a big win here, 31-21. But, if we don't make playoffs, we'll have the ability to find out where we're drafting right away. We'll have to look at what kind of talent is around there, what our team needs are going to be when we go over, which players are going to be, needing a new contract, which players are we going to be deciding to move on from. So it's going to be another very eventful offseason, as we're still looking for key pieces to add to this team. When we're in, our 3rd, 4th, 5th season of this, and we have certain key players that, are non-negotiable and need to come back, we're going to be in a situation here where it's like, we're going to have more consistency on the depth chart. We're going to have, a better ability to say, okay, well, he's going to definitely come back here, so we're not going to need, another guy at this position because we already have him. But we don't really have that right now. We have a lot of veterans who are going to be, slotted to, be moving on or coming back. We're not sure yet. We're going to have to figure that out. So we're going into a situation where this might once again be a brand new team, or, we're going to try and take what we have and grow with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. This was a lot of talking, not the usual stuff, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.